to get you guys one more view.
At least one more. You can heckle some people.
LabRat, House sitting on there for any reason?
No, I can come inside. It was just to get him out of the way to get Pumpkin out.
Ah, gotcha.
We'll talk about Pumpkin a little bit. Got to keep those who are interested updated. It's better it's not finished. We still need to figure out how to get oil level out of a 997 dashboard and a 991 engine. At least the 997 has a place for oil level on the dashboard because you take the oil the same way in a Metzger.
Oh.
It'll show you the oil level, but it's not as pain in the ass as a 991 is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get Daniel come. We'll get some more things figured out. We'll get some logs on Monday. If it ain't a 911R, I don't want it. You can keep your fancy 991.1 GT3. It's got a badge, so that's cool. You know, it says I'm one of 500, which is odd, or 200 or 100. I forget. I don't remember how many 911Rs they made. Their single mass flywheel and their stick shift, which would have been really cool, honestly, had they not released a 991.2 GT3 Touring with a manual. Then a 911R would have been the shit. They never had a manual and that was the only one. They'd be worth $1 million right now. Good evening, sir. 1 second, we're pulling in loud cars. How'd you know my middle name, Jake? That's crazy. Got Jake from NASA. Not State Farm. Unless you're wearing khakis, which you could. I don't know. Khakis kind of went out a while ago. I've got a pile of them, but they're like from 20 years ago, right? Khakis aren't a thing. I wear jeans all the time now. My wife literally has a closet of like 25 different pairs of jeans for me for some reason. I don't know why. They all look the same to me, but I guess they're all different. Everything's wanting to make noise now that we turned all this on. Great. So, yeah, literally it was dead quiet right before we turned it on. Then a car pulls in, and then our check engine light turns off. Dang it. There we go. Maybe. Stay. See? I'm wearing khakis. You got me. Nice. So we added a check engine light to Whiskey Friday because it seemed appropriate. Those of you that don't know. And it's funny, when we started Whiskey Friday, the check engine light turned off. We must be doing something right. The check engine light turned off. So. I appreciate it. You bet, Jake. I appreciate that. We often, Ted, who just joined. What's up, brother? And I were chatting earlier this week that I sometimes ask myself if Whiskey Friday is helping us or hurting us, because I had a conversation with a longtime customer earlier this week, and someone I would call a friend now. They're in Austin, Texas. And there's a local track chat group that was formed among track guys that go to the track. Hey, Larry, good evening, brother. And I heard that I initially wasn't welcome there. And that kind of stung a little bit. So I'm like, I feel like I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't know. Maybe I'm an asshole to people. I don't know. One more. That's the last one coming in. Give us a second. Tis noisy. That's not a surprise around here. So there we go. So anyway, through the conversation, gentleman told me that, yeah, I had some trepidation about inviting you to the track chat, but now you're my first call. And I'm like, okay, there's a little cognitive dissonance in that for me personally. One, I don't feel like I'm an unapproachable asshole or that my personality is so big that it's off-putting for others, but I do share my opinions pretty easily. I do have a big voice. I laugh a lot. I am loud. I'm extroverted. Yada yada yada. That can be off-putting for some, and that's cool. I try not to be exclusionary in the things that I endeavor to enjoy, I guess. I mean, this is a bit of oversharing at this point, but yeah, it was a little surprising. That's all. So it's good to get feedback, be it solicited or unsolicited, and to categorize it. Meaning, is it meaningful for myself and my future? Should I change my path? Am I doing the right things? That kind of shit. Anywho, what are we talking about this week? We're going to give you guys a brief update on Pumpkin. For those that don't know, Pumpkin is my very first Porsche. It is did we have a picture of Pumpkin? We didn't plan that. I'm going to send Justin, the producer here, on a goose chase here to find a picture of Pumpkin and see how he does. Pumpkin is a 2007 997.1 GT3 RS that I purchased well over 10 years ago at this point. It's had two 4.2 liter Metzgers in it. It now has a 991.2 GT3 RS 4 liter in it and a PDK. It has always been a test bed for us. It is, it's got a full carbon fiber Grand Am front clip, so fenders, hood, bumper, 997.2. Did I say 991.2? 997 Grand Am front clip, including a splitter. Has an RSR wing. It is chassis bolted. It has a carbon fiber deck lid from a 4.0 RS. It is highly modified. We're doing well, Kuthala. Welcome. The reason that Pumpkin has a 991.2 GT3 RS engine in it is our belief that the 992 GT3 RS is kind of the last stop for a lot of folks. Yeah, there you go. As far as wanting a $500,000 car to take to the track. We think that there's a path to get the performance out of some of the older chassis, be it with Dundon three-way dampers by MCS, or our aero packages, or modern power. That's the point of trying to do this. And our check engine light went off again, so I'll have to bend down here and mess with that in a second. We need a better USB extension cord, but one second. It adds a nice ambiance up here, so I'm just gonna hold it. See, if I hold it, then it's partially grounded, and you know, it seems appropriate when I hold it, there's a check engine light. So how about that? You know, it's an ongoing joke. When I jump in the car, it throws a check engine light. Why? Because Jamie, that's why. It was Pat for a long time when Pat was here. Every car that Pat would jump into would throw a check engine light for random shit. Just throw a check engine light because, you know. In that picture up there, that is a mini crack pipe on the 997. See, while I'm holding this, I got this little thing right here. While I'm holding it. Oh, see? There we go. I turned it off. There we go. Now it's back on. He's legit brought the extension cord. He's like, we're going to make it right. So, Pumpkin, the way that we're doing Pumpkin, we're marrying the factory engine control unit from a 991.2 GT3 RS, the factory PDK controller, and the factory controllers in the 997. And we're doing this with, we've been developing this for a while now. You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Probably 4 or 5 years at this point. And so through COVID, through a number of things. Yeah, that's better. That should be good for a minute. Thank you, sir. And it gets closer and closer. So we had a firmware update. Charles got that loaded up from our partners in Australia, Calibrated Performance. Yesterday, he drove the car. It's better. We were having CAN collisions. I don't know if that means anything to all of you, but CAN, Car Area Network, sends out messages across the car. And if the receiver is not getting the message that it's looking for in a certain period of time when it's looking for it, then it will freak out, can freak out. You can end up with overlapping messages. You can end up with the chipset not sending them on the cadence that they're supposed to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole lot of shit going on with that. That's above my pay grade. I couldn't do what Daniel does for us, which is why Daniel does it. So how about that? So we're trying to get some time scheduled here in the next couple of weeks for Daniel to come join us out here, hopefully with a final push to fix the last couple things. Previously, in the last firmware version, the car would have CAN collisions, the dashboard would light up with pretty much all the lights, they'd all flash, and the car would kick out of gear and go into neutral. It doesn't do that anymore. It will still kick into neutral, but for both Charles and I, we've only driven it a little bit, not a lot. I just drove it to get gas. It kicked out once when I was waiting for the line to move for the gas station. I'll come back to that, Larry. So kinda, yes. They get repeated on a regular cadence for when, like for instance, oil temperature doesn't need to be every 20 hertz, right? It doesn't need to be every 20th of a second that oil temperature gets updated. So, and you don't want to overwhelm the network with too many messages when traction control might need to know wheel speeds and wheel speed disparities to be able to react quickly in case to save the car, or ABS interventions, or these kinds of things. So all of that traffic is going over the CAN network. Torque request from the transmission to the engine, and the torque control parameters, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot going on. And like I said, I'm not going to attempt to explain it. There are people smarter than me that can do that and do it far better than I can. But that's generally what's going on with Pumpkin. Small progress, little by little. And as we can get that across the line, that I don't know, strategy, that's not right. The core parts of that, make the engine work with that chassis. Then we can start to use that core competency for other projects that are in waiting. And that's why the kind of the constant fervor around, is Pumpkin running? Can we get this done? Is this across the line? We do have a track day coming up, first part of October. It would be a stretch, and we would have to hit, I was hoping that the firmware would not kick it out into neutral. But it might be possible. Probably not likely, but because there's still a lot to do with it, even after we're through that. The cage would have to go back in it. The interior would have to get put together. I mean, it's not an insurmountable amount of work. I just don't know if it's a reasonable amount of work compared to all the other work that we should be doing. So it's always the balance between when you're running a product company, developing products, creating new products that produce revenue, and working on long-term R&D things that will produce far in the future revenue. So that's the Pumpkin update. The next update is we've been seeing more and more of them, and I kind of wanted to take a step back because we've been pushing what we call our LabRat packages. I can answer that, Cathala. Hold on one second. So what we call our LabRat packages are essentially throw the catalog at it, right? So our suspension upgrades, our aero upgrades, our power upgrades, it would be what Manthe would call an MR car. We call a LabRat. And we never really came up with a better name than LabRat. We've kind of kicked it around. We should call it Stage 1, Stage 3, Stage 77, all this kind of crap. That didn't really take. And for us, they're all LabRats. You know, I've heard another company that's developing stuff for GT car call their car a LabRat. That felt a little slightish, but I get it. LabRat's a colloquialism for something you're poking and prodding on. So I didn't take it personally. I'm just like, you know, you've been calling it this for a while in this part of the game, so I know you've heard it by now from us, but fine. It is what it is. So yeah. The crazy thing is we're starting to see LabRats poking up all over the world. All over the world, which is really cool. So this is our 992 GT3. I'd call it a partial LabRat. We never got a splitter on this one. This was predating us getting our own splitter together. So this was like 2021. This has got Advan GTs on it, which they're heavy, but they looked pretty sexy on this car. They're technically for a 991.2 GT3 RS. Big shout out to my friend whose name I can't remember. Dang it, I gotta have more whiskey. I'll think of it. We've got multiple 992 GT3 LabRats out in the world. This is Paul Blake. This is Taxi. This is Taxi Rat. This is the first one that had a splitter on it locally. So he got MCS. He purchased the wing. He liked the wing. And then we helped him out with the splitter and the dive planes and MCS so that we could test some things on the car. Paul's a rare bird that likes 18-way adjustables in a full-out track car, no cage, no harnesses, 3-point belts, just full send. And so we were never really able to go do what we wanted to do in this car because Ted is not full send in somebody else's car in 18 ways and lap belts. Not okay with that. So at some point, I hear rumor there is a pastel orange 992 GT3 that could potentially be for sale in the foreseeable future that I am aware of, and I have been approached that I'd be really into. So, no, they're not, honestly, Larry. They're okay. The Advans, I would say, are track safe, but they're pretty heavy. So they're not the best idea as a track wheel. I think there's a couple other companies that can build something similar, but I tell you what, man, the Advans and BBS, some of the prettiest designs out there for wheels, really some of the prettiest. And some of the other guys need to step up their game, right? I love Forgeline. I loved FinSpeed. I'm still deciding on what FinSpeed turned into. I had a good talk with their current president yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was only yesterday. So my mind is being moved. It's being changed. There's a whole lot of hubbub about all of that. This is a local to Austin wheel company that's had a lot of drama in it over time. So time to change names from LabRat to Frankenstein. So real quick, let me answer Cathala's question before we get there. It's all about fueling, Cathala. So 991.2 GT3 and RS didn't have an OPF filter from the factory, so it could burn extra carbon. The reason that it has that pop in between shifts is there's still fuel overrun that runs down out of the cylinder into the exhaust pipe, hits the catalyst and goes pow. It hits the hot catalyst and pops. Not quite a pops and bangs, but similar. The 992 GT3 RS are much more precise in their fueling because they can't risk that carbon buildup in the OPF filter, and because it would clog it, it would make it so that it would be expensive to fix, and that's why the difference. You can get a 992 GT3 RS to sound like that. You just have to romp on it a lot. And that's where it starts to get into component protection, where it's adding extra fuel so that the cats don't melt. And then it will begin to do that, but it won't do it until then. So, Apex is a wheel company that I have. They're not my favorite. I'll just say that. They, talking with the president of this other wheel company, he has 8 Apex wheels and 14 of them have been replaced. Just to say it that way. And the way their warranty works is you pay for 50% of the wheel if there is a bend or a problem or something along those lines. So I get it. They are a very budget-friendly wheel, but budget on the only thing that is connecting the car to the rubber that is on the ground shouldn't be your first consideration, in my opinion. I mean, these are expensive cars. If you can afford a $250,000 car, you shouldn't be whining about spending $8,000 on a set of quality wheels that are engineered. So it's kind of like magnesium from China. Probably not a good idea. Magnesium wheels from Asia. One of our local customers had some and it exploded on track. We kind of predicted that, but I don't like to be right in these instances. Buy them from companies that supply race cars. Forgeline, FinSpeed, there are BBS, there are others, Rays, all of that. So with catless headers, it might shoot more flames, but it's not going to be the same as a 991. It's not going to be the same. 992 is much more precise, but anyway, yeah, there he knows. So you guys can talk about Apex. I didn't want to really talk about wheels. That's me denigrating other people's companies, and I don't really want to do that if I can help it, because I'm just going to piss somebody off and, you know, pee in their Cheerios kind of thing with my opinions about whatnot. We don't make wheels. I buy them. I don't have to sell them, but then we don't, for the most part. We have a few. Anyway, back on topic. Justin is pushing me in a correct direction. For those of you who have not been paying attention to our YouTube channel, we are now up to episode 7 in Whiskey Friday Academy. This one's especially fun. Fuel system is where you get to hear Jamie say, yup, far too much. Yup, yup, yup. Just like in Talladega Nights. Yup. Or was that Step Bros? Probably both. So this particular episode 7 is about fueling. So we talk about fuel pumps and injectors and high pressure fuel pumps and direct fuel injection and the difference to port fuel injection and why it's important, and about atomization and mixing and a number of other things. Kirk is doing a great job. He's producing these videos for us because Charles and I kind of bobbed and weaved for 3 hours kind of talking about this stuff. We'd go into fueling for a minute and we'd come back and go over here in ignition for a little while and all. Exactly. I want to go fast. Ricky Bobby. So the gist of this, we're kind of getting to the meaty stuff now, the fun stuff, with fueling and ignition. We've kind of gone through some of the basics, rotating assembly, what a piston is, what a rod is. We've gone through valve train. Here's a valve, here's a rocker. Here's what a finger follower looks like. Here's where the problems are with those cars that have finger follower issues. We've gone through oiling and lubrication. I've had somebody heckle me about, there's only been so many 4.0 RSs in the world. Who drove them and how did they break their oil pumps? Okay, guy, you seem to know more than me. You're right. I've talked to 3 owners that have broken their 4.0 RS oil pumps, but you must know more. Good for you, YouTube person. Awesome. Literally, I'm going to get like Keanu Reeves as I get older. You believe that 1 + 1 is 5? Good for you. That's fantastic. Carry on. I need more of that in my life. It's hard for me. That's very hard for me. I will have to embody Neo and do that 1 + 1 = 5. Absolutely. Good job. Yes, it does. Anywho, LabRats around the world. Thank you, Justin. This is our cup car. This is also a LabRat. This one's pretty highly developed. Has a special dual plane wing from our friends at Zebulon. It has our splitter on it. It has, it's missing dive planes at this moment. We were in the midst of still developing some of those dive planes. It has special end fences. Yep, you can see them on there, on the splitter. This is actually a splitter that is falling off of this car at this moment. So when we put the splitter on in our awesomeness and hurry to get to the racetrack, we forgot to cut a hole for the forward air jack. Cup cars have air jacks. We put the air jacks up and we heard crunch. We're like, fark. So that's why the picture looks like that. And we need to get the cup car back out to test this. Luckily, there is another cup car out in the world. R3R Racing is running our wing and splitter package and is doing fantastically in WRL. I think they just came in second in an enduro with hired guns driving the car, which is great. What do we got next? This is Mr. Alex Paquette. He is a time attack contestant. This is a 991.2 GT3 RS. This was built by SR Auto Group in Vancouver. And Alex is very quick. I think he has the track record maybe recently taken away from him by George Zhao. But he was the track record holder at Mission in Vancouver. He has tied the track record with a 992 GT3 RS at Area 27. He runs 140s at the Ridge in this car. And this is just on an Akrapovich exhaust, so it's not making any additional horsepower. He needs some more horsepower, and he'd be able to get that crown back. We're talking about it, but Alex is considering potentially getting a cup car moving forward. I did tell him that most of his parts, with a couple changes, will fit on a cup car. So as long as he gets a 991.2 cup. So this is really cool. Alex is doing great things with the car. It was really cool to see him up there. He's got our aero. He's got the three-way Dundon damper package by MCS. I'll come back to MCS here in a minute. But fantastic work. So that's one for Canada. There are a couple in Canada. We got Al Billis with a very similar car to this that runs Mosport in Canada. I think there's another one in Toronto, but I do not remember their name. Maybe Ted can help me out with them. A couple guys over that way. This is Amit Patel. He was a very early customer with his 992 GT3. This was out of Southern California. WR Technica put this car together. So it is MCS three-ways, full Dundon street headers, tie muffler, if memory serves. Yeah, tie muffler, if memory serves. And they were just up testing. Where were they at? What track were they at? Was it Sonoma? That feels right. Ted might know. Anyway, they weren't planning on doing the time attack the next day, but Will jumped in the car and got second place in Unlimited. Something like that. Just yeah, he lost to the Tesla of Unlimited Performance, right? They were testing that day, something like that. So, I mean, fucking A, for not even trying, you know, showing up and just getting it done, pretty crazy. So, this is a little preview of a soon-to-be-born GT4 RS LabRat from our friends at Saga. Oh, all good. Yep. Oh, they were a Button Willow. Yep, they were a Button Willow. This is Barry Miner's car. And hopefully Barry doesn't get mad that I'm showing a little preview. This is from Felix at Saga Motorsports. This is right down the street from Larry. Ealing and Larry and ourselves are all going to be joining out there. It's got our suspension bits on it. It's got MCS three-ways on it. It's got our full aero package on it. It's got our headers. It has our muffler. Got all kinds of goodies going on. So, car should go great. Ted is going to join them out there and get everything dialed in for them. This is Felix kind of showing the routings that he did with things and how he got cables all around. So this was a little bit instructive for us, but it's a good video to share. Beautiful Valkyrie wing on there. Nice big fatty version 11 muffler tips. Car's going to go fast. Car looks great. I think in October, Randy Popes is coming back out to drive this car because he drove it stock. Now he's going to drive it full LabRat. Cross some fingers that everything goes well with that, and Randy likes the car better. I'm pretty sure he will. Most guys do. We had a great set of feedback from another customer of ours, David K. in the East Coast. He bid on a package of dampers and aero parts when we had them at Smokies GT, and recently got them on his 991.2 GT3 RS. Was very surprised at the performance gain. Him and his coach both. So much so that his coach Owen, who is opening a shop in Nashville, wants to be a dealer for Dundon, which is great. I mean, when your driving coach is saying, yeah, those parts are really slick, I really like that, you're doing better. That's the best you can hope for, right? It's the best you can hope for. This is 3 LabRats. The one on the left, God, they're hard to tell apart. One on the left is Scott's, right?
Yep.
Okay. The one on the left is Scott Davidson. That is a gentleman in Florida that sent us his car that he bought in California, sight unseen, and had us build a full LabRat. That was end of last year. The middle car is John McClellan's LabRat. That is a full LabRat. That's a special LabRat. That's the first one that had, sorry, left is Scott's. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry. Did I say right? I meant left. Middle is John McClellan, local LabRat. Right one is the original Dundon LabRat that is now owned by Mr. Bill Lackey down in California. So, no, they did not mix. So the only guy that had ESC and traction control off was Ted. Everybody else had it on because it was my car. And they don't get to drive my car with the traction control off. Yeah, Ted doesn't like to be told what to do or have the car not doing things he's telling it to do. So, any questions, Mike, with your new 4RS? Just reach out, brother. A lot of what's going on is probably not. I'll say if you are experiencing some kind of intervention or unwelcome dynamics, that's the word I'm looking for. I was like, physics, that's not it. Something like that. Any kind of unwanted dynamics, it's probably due to the nature of the suspension. But give us a call. We can chat you through it. We're pretty familiar with the 4RS now and all of its warts and issues. Here's another beautiful custom job. This is our very good friend, Doug. He had a beautiful car before he went fully crazed LabRat. And the unfortunate part of this story is that Ted was driving the car before it looked like this. And they had a brake line failure at one of the one spot on the track you would absolutely not want a brake line failure. So this was at the ridge. It was coming up the hill into the thumb. So you're going up 100 and probably, we'll say in this car, the way it was previously was probably 118, 120 before you're coming into a pretty sharp braking zone to get it reeled back in to go around a very tight turn. And Ted mushed, and there was nothing there. No brakes. And Doug's along for the ride because he wanted to see the right lines for him to drive his car, Ted drive it, yada, 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 all this bit. So Ted kept the car shiny side up. He got it wheeled down, slowed down. Everybody was fine. No injuries. Car was a little, had some damage. Obviously the bumper took some damage because they ran over a tree and there's a bunch of rocks and crap out there and such. So, the car got rebuilt. It has a 991.2 cup front bumper. It's funny that cup bumpers are cheaper than streetcar bumpers by quite a bit. So if you can rebuild your car with a cup bumper, it's not a bad idea. Stock wheel sizes? Oh, we'll get there, brother. We'll get there. So by putting a cup bumper on, he was able to increase the... oh, you're talking to Mike. Gotcha. He was able to increase... Doug was able to increase the front wheel width and hence the front tire width to a whopping 285 in the front. So he runs a 285 in the front of this, 325 in the rear. Car is dialed. We did a custom rear deck lid situation for him. It is a GT3R deck lid. It is pinned. It comes off with custom mounts. Those are fixed uprights that mount to the chassis, just like our Cup car, for the rear wing. It is a very special car. No, we will not build another one. No, we will not sell you the parts to do this. It's a lot of custom work. It's not just plug and play. But for Dougie, we got it done. And he came with us to Smokies, him and John McClellan both. They both had a great time. Anybody who wants to join us at Smokies next year, probably not, because it is sold out. Next year is Smokies 10. It's going to be very special. I almost didn't get in. So, and I've gone to 9 of 10 of them. I missed the very first one because I don't live in Georgia, because the first one was like 10 people. So, who else we got? Candy. So this is Mr. Mark Savino's 991.2. Yeah, exactly. No, we won't do it again. 100%. So this is a 991.2 GT3 RS. It has, because it is not in America, and the rules are slightly different in different parts of the world, this has race headers. This has a crack pipe. This has full Valkyrie wing. This has an intake kit. It has a tune, Cobb tune. It has our full splitter. It has MCS. It has a bunch of suspension bits. This car is dialed, and Mark drives it like he stole it. It's so fast. They keep winning everything they enter the car in. I don't know the competition that they have in the Philippines, but the fact that they are competing with this kind of iron in the Philippines, good for them, brother. Good for them. There are, and we're not done there. We got far more far away places than this. So Mark is enjoying the heck out of his LabRat, and it's literally LabRat Nation. We're all over the world at this point. So this is Mr. Ed. This was his 991.2 GT3 RS LabRat that we helped him build. This was a bit of a collaboration. We needed a car to test some parts on. Ed was gracious enough to allow us, even though he lives in Spokane, time with his car such that we could test parts on it to get them to market, refine them, make sure that they were correct and right. Ed has hence disassembled this car and sold it. Made me a little sad. The car right behind him, that is Adam, is it Harris? Adam, I don't remember your last name, but there is another 991.2 GT3 RS, not quite as LabRat as Ed's, because Ed had our intake and exhaust kit on it. I think Adam has another company's exhaust on it, no intake. But he does have MCS and he has aero. And Adam's car is gorgeous. I'm not a fan of silver cars, but his car glows, and he's painted the wing end plates in silver to match. It's very tasteful. It's very nice, especially that and the gold wheels. Here we've got Jason Chin is the owner of this car. Gabe and what's their Instagram?
Winter Circle.
Winter Circle is Gabe is often the driver of this car. This is a 991.2 GT3 RS. They have stripped the interior. It has everything that we make. Our MCS on it, our aero on it, our power on it. Gabe came in second. He came in third. At Global Time Attack COTA earlier this year. On the very second to last lap of the last session, a turbo, was it an E36? Yeah, turbo E36, probably 2,200 pound car, full aero, snuck in by hundredths faster than the naturally aspirated GT3 RS. The winner was a Ferrari SF90. So there you go. 1,000 horsepower. Going to be hard to, well driven. This was driven by a local friend of ours, Herrick, in the SF90. Herrick is fearless. He is bulletproof when he's behind the wheel of a car, and so he drives them as if he was bulletproof and will live forever. And good for him, because I've seen him when he was in a 981 GT4, a Guards Red 981 GT4. This was years and years ago at this point. I think the Ridge was just opening, and he was fast then. So now he's driving SF90. So good for him. He's doing something right. This is John McClellan, Johnny Mac's GT4 RS. Look at those rear wheels. They so fat. John is the first recipient of 325s in the rear that Charles was able to put together. This requires quite a bit of work between relocating the upper mount for the dampers, a very compact rear tie rod configuration, and then these are Forge Line wheels. Steve and company at Forge Line did a great job getting these together and getting the exact color that John was looking for. Cargo's great. He's got everything on the car: plenum, exhaust, wing, suspension arms. He has a race navigator, so we can always see how fast he's going. And John's been picking up the pace. He went 125 at the Ridge. Is that right, Ted? Remind me of that. I think that's, or not at the Ridge, at Pacific Raceways, which is hauling the mail at Pacific. He runs Goodyear Supercar 3Rs on this car, 265, 325, which on a 4RS is about perfect, in my opinion. We never got to test them on our LabRat in that configuration, but I do remember Ted coming back from Thunderhill saying if he had some more rear tire, he would have, yeah, that sounds right. So 125 at Pacific is what we both think is right. There's a track chat that we're trying to remember all the thousands of messages that go through. So this is a local to us LabRat, and we're very happy to have this car local. It'll be great to be able to compare over time with John, because frankly, the 4RS has gone, we've got data to show this car goes as fast as our 9923 RS. A 991.2 GT3 RS with our full package goes as fast as a 9923 RS. So it'll be interesting as we develop the 992 GT3 RS bit by bit, how much faster we can get things going and where the differentiators start to come. 992 GT3 RS, hey, it turned off again. Maybe it timed out. It needs power. Could use a little bit more aero as well, and better suspension. Wait, it's kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Who else we got here? This is someone whose name I do not remember. This is a car in the Philippines. Beautiful Ruby Neo car. 992 GT3 again. Oh, it's trying to come back on. There we go. Got it. Just give it a jiggle. Quality Motorsports wire harness over here, connecting that light to the ground. This is another car in the Philippines. I do not know if this car gets tracked or not. I would gather, sorry, fruit fly. I'm not losing my mind and swatting at, demons. At least not right now. So yeah, another one in the Philippines, 992 GT3. We got a couple in Indonesia. That's another great picture. Yep. He did the full jam. This is Mr. Philip Smit in South Africa. So he too is winning a number of time trials, time attacks, hill climbs with his beautiful guards red and gold GT3 RS. He does not have any power adders on the car. He did suspension and aero, and the car's great. Car's great. Mr. Seth Thomas, the OG. He's been with us from the beginning. I think this is Ted in Seth's car. Yep. So this is Seth's 991.2 GT3 RS. He's gone through a couple different iterations of aero with us. There's Mr. Seth. Seth is a professional race car driver, same as Ted. And it's very cool to have the likes of them as consultants and advisors for when we're doing things, trying things. Seth was on the text string this morning from David K on his on settings on his 991.2 GT3 RS. So it's great to have a community that forms around these cars. And the gist of why I'm bringing this up is there are many out there who are doing this, and they're doing it because they want better performance in their car. Nice. I do look good in guards red. It's your color, man. It's your color. It's like I look good in orange. So especially guards red at golden hour. I mean, come on. What car doesn't look good at golden hour? Golden hour, for those of you who don't know, is the time of the day when the sun's angle is very low and the color of the sun changes in such a way as to be very photogenic for many things, especially the angle of the light more so than the color of the light. But I digress. It's more of a comment for Justin and Kirk and other photogs that are out there. Photogs. So anywho, we've got Mr. Simon's 718 GT4. We have not said much about the 718 GT4. Yes, we make full LabRat packages for those. This is a chalk, and yes, those wheels are from Japan, and they look great. Simon tries to put TEs on everything. I think his K truck might have TEs. We've been told we need to put TEs on our K truck. So, yes, from the JDM advisory board downstairs. So this was a recent upgrade for Simon. He brought it to Road Atlanta, drove it there, loved it. We continue to tweak some things. Some of his carbon bits weren't exactly right, so we're getting some new ones to get the splitter to be exactly right and make it look fresh and tight. We might end up getting him slightly longer hydraulic lines so that he can mount his canisters up on his cage to show them off. This isn't a necessary thing. This is a marketing thing. We actually like those lines to be as short as we can get away with it, because it's better for the response of the damper to not be pushing all of that fluid back and forth if we can help it. So anyway, this is the last one? Yep. This last one is Sportec AG's build of a 992 GT3 LabRat. This has a cup exhaust on it. Why, we're not sure. It has our aero. It has MCS. I think it has PFC brakes. This particular image, I believe, is Marcel Fossler driving the car. Yes, the guy that won Le Mans a number of times. Yes, we did try and go over to the Nürburgring a few years ago. I think this was last year, right? Last year, yeah. To see how our wares might fare. And like most times, the Nürburgring won. So it was very hot, and we ran out of tires and we ran out of daylight. So, God, it feels way longer ago than last year, Ted. Jesus. We pack in a lot of stuff in 12 months. I got a lot of things that are hitting me before then. I also didn't go, so that's probably part of it. It was this time of year last year. It was almost exactly a year ago, wasn't it? Yeah, it was either now or within a week or two of now. So yet another Guards red car. They just seem to like our parts. Maybe we should get Guards red cars. Probably be easier to get. That's at least a stock color. So anyway, that was the list of caros. It was Labor Day weekend. That's right. That's right. Which last year would have been a couple days ago, because this year's was like the first weekend in September because of how that Monday fell. What else we got? We've been doing some house cleaning. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll share that one. So this is why we have so much confidence in our LabRat parts. So the guy on the left is Ryan from Zebulon. He is the gentleman that helped with the curvature and shapes, did the CFD, made sure that all of the angles are right, all of the twists are twisting. Oh, it was okay. That the front and rear played nicely together. Charles did all of the mounts, made sure that it's robust. He and Ryan went back and forth on the design of the carbon parts. The gentleman on the right is Ted, the dude in the orange in the back. Standing beside the car is me. I don't stand up on cars if I can help it, especially when I've been drinking, like all of these mofos are doing, especially the gal in the middle. Who is that kneeling on the left next to me?
This guy?
Yeah, that's you. Yeah. You fell for it. That's Justin, making sure that the gal doesn't fall over. And the young man on her right is, what the hell was his name? Young dude driver. Hayden, Jaden, Chaden, all that modern names. Hayden. He was looking for a ride. Ryan is also a race engineer for JDX Racing. Very accomplished race engineer. He helps a lot of drivers improve, and he gives them very well set up race cars to race in. So Hayden was one part of their junior program. Hayden won the GT4 Club Sport competition that goes up Pikes Peak. He won that not this year, but the year past. This is like, it's like family picture time, y'all. We're just gonna flip through the album and I'll just tell you the story about all of it. This happened at Rensport Reunion. This venue came together between Smokies and Dundon. Sean called me because he was gonna be there. He's like, hey, somebody's party fell through and the venue's open. You want it? Yeah, let's do it. So we put together a last minute party and it was great. We had a good time. Got to park some cool cars in there. We had a rev battle with an air cooled car, which of course Sean says he won because he was the owner of the air cooled car. So, you know, not a surprise. Sean is the happy owner of Umlaut, which is producing some of the best custom air cooled hot rods you might want or desire if you have the means. And you have the means, you can look them up on Instagram and tell them that Dundon sent you. You can do some questions now. I don't think we got anything else planned to talk about. Unless people want to hear about bill of materials and dampers and all of the blanket orders and shit that we did this week and the cleaning up of racks and making a pretty household. But got a lot of that too, which is great. Shop's actually starting to look pretty good in here, so much better than it has. We did have some visitors on Monday down from Canada. I think Justin did a little bit of that. They were down after back-to-back turn 2 weekend, and I held court, talking about why GT4RS's stock are dangerous, what you need to do to improve them, and really it was mainly about Mr. Ken Wu and his mint green 992 GT3. He already has MCS, and he wanted to come in and start on getting the aero dialed. So he's going to call us back and get the rest of the aero probably in October. And so there'll be yet another Canadian LabRat that might be the first 992 GT3 LabRat in Canada. Maybe. I know Al is doing his 4RS. That's getting finished up whenever they fix the hole in the ECU. There it is. That car in that light looks neon green. That is a bright ass car. It's pretty. Yeah, there were a lot of cars that came through. There were a lot of spiders. There were 2 spiders. One GT4 RS. There was a Lotus, if I remember right. Yeah, I sprung this one on Justin. He's getting your stuff on. Yeah, there you go. There's the Lotus. Yep, white GT4 RS. That looks familiar. We know what that looks like all done up. We should have him. Too bad John isn't closer. We just have him pop by and have him drop John's car. And he'd be like, oh, shit. That's what Barry did, and he bought everything. So appreciate that, John. That was very kind. Yep, there we are all underneath the LabRat. I'm pointing and grunting like I do every day. Yep, you can see everything that we're doing. We got a mezzanine there in the background that we doubled our floor space in the shipping and receiving area. Got a lot of bread racks and wire racks that have been broken down and things taken off them, which is fantastic. We're finding more floor space, which is it's beautiful. Doesn't feel so claustrophobic in here anymore. But that's called growth, y'all. That's called growth. If you can't if you build a whole new product line, because our suspension product line is essentially brand new as of the last 9 months. We didn't have this stuff before. And now we've got all of it. That's pretty. Is that Miami? Ah, these are 718 GT4 spiders, not 4RS spiders. Or sorry, spider RSs. I am confusing my vernacular, I believe. But so it goes. All right, so I answered Kuthala's question, which, do I owe you a quote or did I send you a quote? Or are you still thinking about it? I remember seeing your email. I think I replied, but I don't remember anything after that. So, I think it's Shark? Dude, there are too many Porsche Blues to tell from a picture, honestly. There's so many of them. So, yeah, I don't know. We didn't ask. Everybody's like, all right, anybody who's left have any pictures for me? Pictures. Good grief. Questions for me. There we go. We should probably pull up PTS colors or Renbow. That's what it's called. Renbow.com. RENNBOW. How I remember that, and I can't remember people's names. I have no freaking idea. BOW. Yeah, literally. I feel you, Ted. I feel you. Yeah, it's all Porsche's colors. Yeah, it's like all of them ever. And you can see examples of the color. It's pretty crazy. So, Alpine white, signal yellow. So those of you who are wondering, renbow.com. Oh, I got the Aston Martin dirty. For those of you that care, it rained. I drove it in the rain. It's nice to see that a British car doesn't melt in the rain. Everybody was so afraid of me driving the Ferrari in the rain. They were for sure it was going to melt. I also got my crystal key. Crystal key. Fancy, right? That fancy? As you would expect, things from Aston Martin are not exactly cheaper than things from. Hey, Mr. Charles Dundon is here. What's up, brother? How's Leavenworth? Did you make a new YouTube login just for this? What is this Z-pipe stuff I see trending on Instagram? Exactly. They're trending on Instagram. That should be your first clue. It's a... Trying to be nice, Philly. Stop it. It is a patented 3D printed design that is supposed to replace an X-pipe. Having done no testing of it, no math on it, I think it was based off of flow-based math, but start from Borla? Really? Oh, dude, if I was David, I'd be suing this guy. Crazy. So David Borla has this already, and this dude stole it and 3D printed it and then patented it, huh? How about that? Yeah. Like Charles said, the Z-pipe is something a guy who makes stuff patented because it's different. However, exhaust math is always math. Exhaust math is math. The pressure wave doesn't really care the shape of the duct that it's in for the most part. It cares when it expands and when it changes direction, and when it gets combined. That's it. It's kind of like honey badger. Pressure wave don't give a shit. What's up with the carbon fiber cages I'm seeing recently? Larry, I don't know, but my insurance agent made it very, very clear that if I make any kind of safety equipment, I'm being dropped. Period. And I would then question any company that's making safety equipment what their insurance coverage actually looks like in that regard. Just things that make you ask questions. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just asking questions. People blame me for asking questions. No, I just ask questions. They might be inflammatory questions, but they are still only questions. So I'm sure the Silver Streak, Silver Spoon, Silver Dragon, whatever their name is, carbon cage for the GT4 RS is quite nice. I've seen it a number of times. It looks nice. I couldn't tell you anything about how it holds up in a crash. I would tell you to, I don't know that I want to trust safety equipment not from, yeah. I'm just going to shut my mouth. I'm going to sit here and drink. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a split the stream, have half the stream go to one side, half the stream go to the other side. Okay. Sure. So you're speeding up the flow, exchanging that velocity for pressure, or consuming that pressure for velocity. There we go. I'll get that in the right order. Making a differential pressure around the split. Yeah, sorry, there we go. I'm staring at this thing and I'm like, seems yeah. Z-Pipe guy, I don't, if you watch this, it was asked. I'm just doing my best to answer the questions based off of knowledge that we have. I wish you the best of luck, brother. I wish you the best of luck. Larry, so you're telling me that the very reason you didn't want me in the track chat, you're trying to incite now? I'm gonna begin to take this shit personally at some point. Yeah, Charles, that seems more reasonable to me than using a carbon roll cage. I mean, until they're doing it in, well, I don't know. What are the like a prototype car or an LMP car? Oh, how about them high torque impact guns? Yeah, absolutely. The high torque impact gun. It's a turbo. Exactly. So we've had a couple Facebook shit. I'm gonna take my glasses off now. God, I see guys. I'm poor. I want to buy a high torque gun. Okay, then decide you're not poor and buy a high torque gun. You bought a $200,000 car. Oh, but I'm poor, but I want a high torque gun. I have a Lamborghini STO. I can't afford a high torque gun. I think your word choice is poor there, my friend. I think you can afford a high torque gun. You choose not to because you do not understand the value that it brings. So, yeah, I'm following along in the comments about Charles educating everybody about a X pipe, Z pipe, H pipe, et cetera, for exhaust design. Just I'll let him field that. Let that be a thing. The comments in some of the Facebook posts about high torque guns, I always find both maddening and comical when people who obviously have no idea what they're talking about will comment and add things to it. I think this is commentary on social media in its entirety. When you are looking for a factual answer, you don't look to social media, which is an ungoverned source of information, and then believe that what you're seeing are true facts. Don't do that. If you want to know facts, go to the people that have them. If you want to know opinions on how the world's flat, because when you put a level on the ground, the bubble doesn't move, and it shows that it's in the middle, you can believe the Flat Earth Society, if that's what you want. You can believe anything you want. 1 + 1 = 5, like I said earlier. If that's what you believe, kudos to you. When it's about parts that we've helped develop and that leaving that information unchecked or unquestioned on the internet would therefore prevent others from purchasing a product that we've invested time in, yes, I'm going to invest time and I'm going to correct that. I will try and be as gentle as I can, but sometimes there's no need for being gentle. Though there's no need. And with that, thank you all for poking the bear and getting the response that you were looking for. Orest and I were chatting about high torque guns and some of the shit on Facebook earlier. Some of the groups, I think it was in Avance. Somebody asked, and I try and be nice. I have a whiskey every now and then, and my nice meter changes as far as what nice actually reads like. Nice without whiskey is very different than nice with whiskey. And then nice with whiskey, red without whiskey doesn't seem as nice. So maybe don't ask me questions at about 6 o'clock at night. Ask me about 9 in the morning. Coffee is way nicer than whiskey is. Whiskey's mean. Coffee's nice.
I need to shit.
Just call me before noon your time, Larry. It'll be nice. If you try and catch me at the end of the day, it won't be as nice. Gently order a high torque gun. I don't think they work with Apex wheels. I heard they broke the spokes. I'm sorry. Anywho, Larry, thank you for the poke. Thank you for having, is it James? Is it James Davis? Davis James. I think it's James Davis, right? Thank you for having him reach out. I am interested to continue that conversation. It is, what's the name of the wheel company now? 812? Yeah, thanks, Oris. You're fired. Just order a torque multiplier. Scratch your fender anyway. Yeah, right? TORK, right? James Davis, thank you. Yeah, right? 1,000 pound-feet. A12, right? That's the new wheel company. That's the new fin speed. Can you look that up for me for a second? A12 wheels? I think that's right. 812 wheels, right? Not A12. What is 812, Larry? Do you know? 812? Is that? I mean, that's a Hawaii thing. You yeah, I know 808, but 812 isn't Austin, is it? I forgot to ask him what's the significance of 812. He's the president, and he should probably know, but you know. Did you find him? Type in fin speed. I bet you it immediately redirects you. No? Whoever's doing their web stuff is fired.
Where's it spelled? 812.
It's the owner's racing number. Ah, I got it. Okay. So it's a homage to something that was important to Rafa. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's him. The designs of old with the names of old, but a new ownership and a new crew running it. So, looks like I got some new designs. I haven't seen that many spokes on that before. That's pretty cool. F10s is what I would put on the Aston. F14s is what was on the Pumpkin that I ended up selling because I got those spiffy BBSs at some point. We had the Evos were on Doug's car, and I think that's what's over there on the ground.
Oh yeah.
Or Evos. So if we want another set, I just got to find the. Does anybody remember? Yeah, literally. Yeah. Taj is like 812 is the second link when you search for fin speed. That's what I figured. So, yes, F5s are on the Audi. We'll talk about wheels here for a second, then we'll wrap up. So, things with wheels. There are lots and lots of wheel companies out there. There are only, maybe they were Spiders, not Evos. Yes, I think you're right, Taj. Somebody new in the chat. I-30 the Lion. Oh, cool. All right. Is the GT4 wing different than the GT4 S wing? The wing blade is the same. The end plates are the same. Where the wing uprights go are different. And Leo the Lion. Got it. I do not read letters and numbers together. Well, I'm showing my age. So the spacing's different. Yes. The GT4 is a 36-inch spacing. The GT4 RS is a 32-inch spacing. We did that because the GT4 bolts into the deck lid slightly differently than the GT4 RS. And we wanted the GT4, we wanted them to splay out a little bit. The 4RS, we wanted them to be more upright. So that is why and what. Are you looking to purchase a GT4 wing and install it on your GT4 RS? That would be difficult. I would give us a call if you wanted to do that. We have GT4 RS wings on soon to be back on the shelf. They're currently out of stock, but soon to be back on the shelf. Larry will also we will have a GT4 wing back in stock from Mr. Larry Beck, because he will be getting a GT4 RS wing at some point in the near future. Yeah, dude. Ted, Justin's Johnny on the spot over here with pictures 99% of the time. We mention it, and he's like, he had telepathy and knew it was coming and like had the pictures on cue. Bang. So wheels. The forging is important. The sourcing of the forging is important. The engineering that goes into the wheel is important. We'll talk about Apex for a second. So Apex had a forged line, and then they had a forged endurance line. Just ask the question. If their forged wheels were sufficient for track use, why did they have to come up with a stronger one? I just ask questions. Just ask questions. I should have been a lawyer in my previous life, but the question you need to ask yourself is, if the thing was good enough, why did it need to be improved? Now, all that said, good night, Ted. Talk to you soon. Oh no, dude, they're the same. So as far as that, the GT4 and the 4RS for our wing, exactly the same, because we'll run the same amount of downforce on a GT4 as a 4RS. They're the same chassis. The chassis can both take it. So yes, buy with confidence in that regard. You will need MCS from us before you get the splitter, but beyond that, yeah, it's kind of the story, right? So regular Apex wheels are cast. They flow formed, whatever, they're cast. Flow forged, rotary forged, all of these other names are not forged. Forged is you take a billet, you beat the shit out of it until the grains of the metal are very, very close together through taking a mechanical beating from a giant, giant hammer. Thank you, Philly. What was I looking for? Giant, the thing that like
Forging hammer.
No, not Thor's hammer. Not what I'm looking for. The thing that pushes poles into the ground. Was it pile driver? Yeah, but like a forging hammer, but a giant fucking one, like a 60-ton forging hammer, 7 stories tall, to produce enough force to really get all of those aluminum molecules really, really close together, tight. Then you do your cross sections, then you make sure that it's correct, then you send it out into the world. There is a US manufacturer of forgings that I, for the life of me, cannot remember their name. It is not AVL. There's another company. Maybe it is AVL. I don't know. But they have mainly military contracts, aerospace contracts. They had excess capacity, and they would sell it to the US-based wheel guys. FinSpeed would buy them. Forgeline would buy them. HRE would buy them. I didn't know if anybody else bought them. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. The rest of them all come from Asia. Things from Asia are not bad. I'm not saying that. A press. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Orest. My other engineer friends are trolling me. This is great. A hammer. A press. Feed that guy more whiskey. He'll even forget his own name. It's kind of crazy. So the best wheels start with the best forgings, because the material at the end of time, Hutchinson, maybe, is a company in Cali. You out of here, Philly?
Yeah, see ya.
Good night, brother. Have a good weekend. It started with an A, it was a 3-letter acronym, and after that, I forget. So we'll just leave it at that. They're getting out of the wheel biz, is what I was told. This was all told to me. It was not something that I learned first. God damn it. Now this thing's excuse me, we're having stay. Yeah, I think it's the actual plug on the check engine light. That's the issue, not anything else. So anyway, sorry. So you want a quality forging, because at the end of the day, what makes a good wheel is stiffness and its ability to resist being bent. It's not that it has a pretty design and a cool name. That's what it's not. You're looking for something that has an appropriate amount of support, that fits the car, that can handle the loads that the car is putting on the wheel. Modern street cars are particularly difficult to deal with in that regard, because they're putting lots and lots of load on wheels, and they didn't used to. We're having this crossover. I mean, our 992 3RS will pull almost 2 Gs in a corner, which is crazy. So maybe ASM. Maybe ASM. Do they do mainly military and aerospace? So anyway, if the wheel company can bring data, they all use FEA, which is finite element analysis, which is a modeling software that's available in most CAD programs. But modeling is only good up until the boundary conditions you fed it and the engineer that's interpreting it. If you don't have any real world data to back that up and know that that's what it was, this is what we did, why we chose Zebulon to do our CFD, not somebody else. They had designs on their CFD that they had validated in a wind tunnel, and they knew what the offset was between their CFD and the wind tunnel result for, quote, a standardized set of tests, so that they knew when they changed something in their CFD model that they would expect this similar offset when they put it into a wind tunnel. And so, did we test all of our aero in a wind tunnel? No, that would be absurdly expensive to be able to find something the size of a car to put it in there and do all that. No, we didn't do that. But we did use somebody that had validated their model to the extent that we could trust the CFD was real and repeatable. And what we saw in practice on the car was it was absolutely that. Find that in a wheel company, you're golden. You're golden. This was the advice that I gave to the 812 president yesterday. Go destructively test your wheels. You will be one of the few that has, and that will be worth gold in the industry. Because when you go put your money where your mouth is and show that your FEA and your actual results are correlated, you're a winner at that point. Because then you can say that all our FEA is good. All you got to do is one, show that it's correlated, you're good, done. Now you got a correlation, off you go. So, in summary, wheels, the cheapest ones, not the best ones. Don't risk your life for saving and having 3 sets of wheels from China. Not great. If so, then buy them from Alibaba. You'll save a lot more than buying them from a US company. Just go on Alibaba, buy some wheels at random, because you're probably getting the same thing. Who knows? If you want quality wheels, you're going to have to pay for them. Be it from Forgeline, quality company, great guys, racers, supply to race car teams, have for a long time. I think Forgeline had the GTD contract. I think FinSpeed back in the day had Cup Car, Porsche Motorsports contracts, et cetera, et cetera. Rays builds a lot of wheels for Top Line Motorsports. Great company, great job. They do great parts. I hold wheels in high esteem, and I'm still sad that BBS is in bankruptcy and are in a shambles, because they're my go-to. I've never had a problem with the BBS wheel. Yeah. TE37 manufacturing process video. TE37 is a flow-formed wheel from Rays. It is not a forged from, it is not a top-line motorsport wheel. It is a, dare I say, a cars and coffee wheel. They're beautiful, but it is not something that is going to hold up to the rigors of motorsport for a long time. I think it's still cast, isn't it, Orest? %. Yes, they do. And they do that on purpose. 100%. They all build specific race wheels or track wheels. You got to buy them from the race division. Those are the ones that are built to the rigors for track use. If you buy a 3-piece carbon-centered, carbon-barreled, lightest thing ever wheel from flybynight.com, who knows what the hell you're going to get. So, enough on wheels from Jamie, who doesn't build wheels, never owned a wheel company, has only bought a few wheels, although I did design the 7-spoke, 5-lug, narrow body and wide body from BBS for the 997.1 and 997.2 with my buddy Ty Tolentino, along with Eric at BBS USA, which was great. I still have 2 sets of those for anybody with a wide body 997.1 5-lug car, turbo or GT3 RS. I have one in silver. I have one in gold. Unfortunately, I cannot use them because my car has too wide a front wheel. I have the extra wide fronts, 9.5 inch. Anybody that wants a set, we have 2. Give us a call. Otherwise, I'll find something to use them for eventually. They're sitting on the shelf. All right, y'all. Have a good night. I'm going to let Justin get the fuck out of here at 6 o'clock on a Friday night in September. You have a wonderful... yes, I believe you're correct. Anyway, you all have a wonderful evening, and we'll chat with y'all next week.